Hey there, YouTubers. Right, maybe you checked out my 5 CPU cooler shootout with the i9-12900 and 5 different CPU coolers. Now, one thing that has come up is whether the Noctua NH-U14S is better or worse than the DeepCool AS500 Plus. Now, we have obviously this one. We have the DeepCool AS500 Plus, which you can make it an AS500, you can make it AS500 Plus. But in this video, folks, we're going to show you a comparison of the numbers that I got with the NH-U14S and compare those. I won't say live, but in this video, I'll actually show you the DeepCool AS500 and what it does. So let's go to the comparison chart. And obviously I did this in PowerPoint, folks. Whoop. Wrong keyboard. Alright. So what are we going to be looking at? Well, here were the 5 CPU coolers I used. And at the very bottom, NH-U14S 140mm fan. There's the price. What do we get there? I don't think we're going to look at the BIOS in this one. We're just going to go straight to the benchmark one. So XTU with default settings. What does that mean? PL1 is set to 65, PL2 is set to 202. We ran the benchmark and that's the temperature it got up to and the score. Now I didn't do this like 10 different times. Obviously we have some error in there because I didn't, but that's what you can expect. Now we're going to come in, we're going to set power limits to unlimited. That will give us our biggest multi-core score, right? It works for this software. It's going to work for Cinebench R23 as well. I honestly expect at some point I'll put the right CPU cooler on there and we'll get our highest score for this. So what happens here, folks? This thing is going to use up to 216 watts of power during this benchmark, okay? It's a lot hotter. It takes a lot more effort to cool off. You can see went from 79 to 81 and the score just went up a little. Now if you saw this video, you know that wasn't the highest score, even though that was the best cooler shown in it. So let's go live to what we have. There is the DeepCool AS500 on the Asus Prime Z69 690p. We've got a i9-12900 under there, and we're over here now looking at Intel's Extreme Utility. Now, unfortunately, folks, I bought 4 or 5 cheap Chinese video capture cards, and they've all bit the dust. Within the last 2 years, I've lost all of them. So, but that said, even the really expensive brands have bit the dust because we do a lot of video capture. So, all right, getting back to this video. There's PL1 set 65, PL2 202. Okay. What we have down here, folks, and what we didn't put in the other videos, we're going to get a little bit better of idea how much power this uses, right? So I am going to clear this data out so it's nice and fresh. What we're going to be looking over here, maybe not in this video, but we're going to want to see if, after I adjust power limits, if this thermal throttles. All right. So I can tell you it's not going to do it here, so we're not really going to concentrate on that. We're going to drop down to here. All right, hit and run benchmark, boom. We'll come over here, you can see, let's see what the temperatures are. So it was at 23 was the low, and it got up to, so far, 75 degrees Celsius. Now, total power used, recent maximum, wow. Did not realize it got up that high, but the average is 66. So let's see here, what does that say? All right, so yeah, there's where it shot up. All right, thermal throttle, I added this to it. That's what we wanted to track. It's no for this one, okay? So what was our temperature? 74. There is our benchmark score. Now that benchmark score is terrible, but you see that we have a very low temperature, okay? Let's see how that compares to the NH-U14S. 74 degrees compared to 79, all right? Now, one thing that was goofy, these ones in red, all thermal limit throttled. Okay, maybe there was only one here, but the others were kind of close. Where are the high scores with the hot temperatures? It doesn't make a lot of sense. You'll find, had we have used Cinebench R23, that this would be more consistent. The higher scores would go with the better cooling. Windows XT or Intel's XTU is kind of a joke, and I don't plan on ever using this software for this kind of comparison. But I do like the fact that I get I get that high temperature, and that at least has corresponded with the CPU coolers that I expected to. Now, we're going to do XTU Unlimited, or excuse me, Power Limits Unlimited. So let's set that up. Really easy to do here. We're just going to drag this over. Now, we could fine tune this and try and find, if there's a better number in there. Once you pull PL1 all the way to unlimited, PL2 goes with it, okay? We'll hit apply. Then we want to come down here and clear out the data again. Hit that a couple times. Boom. Go up here again, see what our temperatures are at. If I can get this to go up. You don't want to run this when it's hotter. Sometimes, you'll see a spike. Alright. So, I want to get this, you can see these two, and I'll be watching thermal throttling while that happens, okay? So you guys will see this. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the benchmark. Benchmark. Boom. Alright, here we go. So you can see the temps. Nice, it's in the 70s. That's pretty impressive. Have we gotten any higher than that? 77. How much power do we use so far? 197. So oddly enough, 216 with the other CPU and only 197 here. Only 79 degrees Celsius. A pretty decent score. That's respectable for this, but once again, I'm not so sure the score matters that much. Now, let's drop down to thermal limit throttling, because that's really what I care about. Thermal limit throttling, no. Alright, and you can see, well, if you can see it, it stays across there, okay? So, let's do one other thing, folks. Let's go ahead and throw on Cinebench R23, and we'll use Hardware Info 64 and check out some of the numbers there. So, we're in Cinebench R23. You can see what this scored the last time I ran this. Is that single core? I think that's a single core. No, that is multi-core. Okay, sorry. The last time I ran this, it was turbo boost disabled, right? So that's why the score is so low. We will be somewhere in the 20,000s when this is done. Now, I've got over here, I've got Hardware Info 64. We're going to be checking out whether it thermal limit throttles. That will tell me also if it is better than any of the other 5 CPU coolers I use, because guess what? They all thermal limit throttled. And you'll see the average temp eventually for a bunch of these things. Maybe even some of the power. So remember that last column's the average, max, min, current. Alright. Let's go ahead and hit this. Hit run. Pop over to here. And just go up here a little bit. So I'm not going to record this for the whole 13 minutes. But you can see the temperatures getting hotter. It's currently at, it was 89, 93. We may thermal limit throttle this, folks, just like all the other CPU coolers have done so far. Makes me wonder, core thermal throttling, there it is, boom. So the only question remains is how many times will this thing thermal limit throttle? Yeah, it's hit at least three performance cores. 4. So you can see that. You can see how hot it got, up to 100 degrees. Now we could go back, obviously, and reduce power limits to something that would keep it from getting that hot, but that wouldn't be any fun, right? So there's some other information. Just let you guys see. And remember, the far right column, average, next to that, maximum, minimum current. All right. Just like that. Yeah, I wish there was a way for me to, well, I think there is a way where I could just record this whole table and cover this thing up. Now right now it's kind of figuring out where it's going to be. Looks like it's between the that one Threadripper and a Intel Xeon. And I'm going to pause this till the end and show you guys the score. So not a lot of changes. You see there are 6 cores that have thermal limit throttled. And just to show you a little bit of this information. Still got 4 minutes and 18 seconds till I get a benchmark score. Final numbers here. And we ended up only 4 cores thermal throttled. See, the max temp was 100. So what was the score, folks? I think this is the new high, 26,062. I'd have to go back and look at what the NH-U14S had, but I think that is my new high. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.